So, a question that I've seen getting asked, and I might as well address it is: so if the NHL goes to Houston, if they take this giant cash grab, what does that do to Seattle? Seattle has to take a relocation. Who gets relocated? If the NHL goes all Wild West with its relocation and just says, all right, willy-nilly, we're going to move teams, then they're going to look at the teams that aren't drawing. They're going to look at Arizona. They're going to look at Florida, maybe Carolina, and move. I've often said that the NHL keeps teams in locations far longer than other sports. And I know Canadian fans often point out how hockey in the South, they're not drawing, they're not generating revenue. I point out the Canadian dollar tends to drop. And that's something that the NHL does look at. When Quebec and Winnipeg left, that was a part of the reason why. Was that the Canadian dollar was low, meaning that Canadian teams have to spend more than American teams per dollar. So it's tricky because, I was in Vancouver last week at an Ottawa game. There were a lot of empty seats. Then we watched the game against Calgary on Saturday. A lot of empty seats. So while we can talk about teams moving around, it's a double-edged sword. Because if they can move a team out of Carolina, they can move a team out of Vancouver. They're not going to. Don't read me wrong here. Vancouver's too big a city and they've been there too long. But they can. It's dangerous. And it's funny because, people talk about this in a cavalier manner, but really the teams that have been moved, that were moved to make more money, didn't. Hartford moving to Carolina, yes, they've made more money in Carolina than they would have in Hartford playing in a mall. Quebec moving to Colorado, yeah, they made money that first few seasons. They're still making money, but because of the fact that the team has been hot garbage for a few years, attendance numbers dropped. It's so weird how that works too, because then you'll read articles about, this used to be a dedicated fan base, and now they're kind of they're just not interested in the team. They're not, invested in them, or however you want to put it. It's sometimes just a matter of, it costs me how much to go to a game? Yeah, I'm not paying to go watch them lose. So, back to the Seattle question. All that in consideration, if Houston gets that 32nd team, what happens to Seattle? Seattle probably doesn't get a team unless the NHL decides to go beyond 32 teams. And then you're getting into a whole, sure, from a fantasy perspective, I can create a league of 40 teams and we can talk about who would be in a league of 40 teams. But the logistics of it, the amount of extra headaches you'd have, would those be 8 extra healthy franchises you're adding? Absolutely not. You're going to have problems in probably about half of those markets because they're not traditional hockey markets, or they've never been an NHL market before, and we just don't know how they're going to respond. And some of them are going to respond well, and some of them are not. Do I think Kansas City deserves a team? Yeah, probably. They've got a building. They don't have the ownership in place yet that wants to bring a team there. If they did 10 years ago, they would have had a team. Well, Milwaukee. Sure, Milwaukee might be able to support a franchise. Hamilton could definitely support a franchise. Absolutely. And I don't think it would adversely affect the Sabres or the Maple Leafs. I think it would be fine. If anything, I think it would cause more fans from Hamilton to go to Buffalo to watch games when Hamilton's there. So, it's a tricky thing because it's not that long ago that a lot of fans were saying, well, I don't even know why we have a team in Buffalo. Nobody wants to go there. That was number one on the list of teams that players didn't want to go to. And it just looked like the team was dead in the water. So it's one of those things, because I know the number one thing that I see people saying is, well, move Arizona. Yeah, that's the easy thing. It's absolutely the easy thing. But the NHL hasn't done the easy thing to do, or they would have moved a lot of franchises in the 90s, way more than they did. I'm old enough to remember when Calgary and Edmonton were in trouble, and there was talk of both of them potentially leaving Alberta. And I'm old enough to remember when Ottawa has had problems. So, you know, it's one thing to look at a team and go, oh, well, you can just move them. Yep. And then you turn around and next thing you know, your city's having struggles and not drawing very well. And the NHL's like, well, we got to move them now too. And you're like, wait a minute. No. What are you doing? Well, we're going by that standard. Low attendance, low revenues, move the team. And that happens to Canadian teams. So, I'm looking at the empty seats in Vancouver. Now, if they're paid for seats, and odds are in Vancouver they're paid for, and it's just season ticket holders not showing up, that's something completely different. But, again, and I mean, the NHL gets accused of pumping up its paid ticket sales. I think it's just a matter of season ticket holders not showing up. I'm not sure I understand why. I mean, if you have work the next day or you have something else that you have to do and you can't be there, fine. But if you're home, not busy, go to the game. You got season tickets, go. Tired of watching them lose? Just go. It's fun to watch even when they lose. Gone to 4 Canuck games, they haven't won one of them. And I had fun. I enjoyed it. I'm going to go back. It's, actually, technically, if you go back to the games I watched when I was a kid, I've watched 5 Canuck games and they never won any of them. It would be nice to celebrate a win in Vancouver, actually. But that's the thing. The team's still there. And at the end of the day, I think all the teams that exist are still going to be there. Because the funny thing is, if let's just say, just for argument, the NHL is going to go to Seattle, have 33 teams. Then you got to have 34 because you got to put another one in the East. And then your divisions are lopsided again. You have 9 and 8 unless you have like 2 17-team conferences. And then, scheduling with 17 teams is kind of a pain in the butt. And then because every team wants to play each other twice, you're going to have less games between division rivals. And I like games between division rivals. So there's that. So you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. As I said, I think Seattle would get a relocation. I just don't know that the NHL would relocate. And if anybody's going to say Calgary, I honestly think that the Flames are staying put and everybody's just blowing smoke in that case. I really do. I really do. I think this is just trying to strong-arm the mayor into giving them the building they want for the money they want. And they don't want to look in another direction, which is why they're trying to get the mayor out of there. So, again, let me know what you guys think. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, and thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.